Greetings. I thought I'd show you something a little different to look at this time. I realized that I've filmed so many of my later videos in my kitchen. You must be tired of seeing my kitchen. But I'm back in the parlor. I'm really happy to be back in here. Most of you know we've done a remodeling project recently, and we're just about finished. This room's done now, and I'm moving back in. I'm trying to get up some cameras, little bit different camera angles and things that I can use a little easier. You know, it's a fine line having a room that you want to use for tarot reading and for ritual sometimes, and for spell work, and for a lot of things, and also have working on some of my products, and also having a studio where I can film these videos for you. So that's a little bit of a challenge, because I don't want it to be technical. I don't want a lot of technical equipment in here. I like the aesthetic of having it. This is my sacred space, and it means a lot to me. So it's a sort of a fine line. So I'm trying, but anyway, I thought you might appreciate something that we just did. Those of you who maybe follow the cycles of the moon, the full moon, maybe realize that this past week we celebrated what is called in a lot of cultures the hare moon, which is because this is a time of fertility and abundance, and the seeds that we have planted earlier in the spring are now starting to grow. Things are starting to grow in our gardens, or for some people under their grow lights, but we're starting to grow things that we're going to be harvesting when we get to beginning Lammas later in the year. So we took this opportunity to dedicate a new little ritual that you might be able to see here in the back. In the back corner, it's just tucked in the corner there, which is our new abundance altar. If you have seen my videos several years ago when we were filming when we were working our home business here, and we had a little fertility altar set up, a fertility altar set up, a prosperity altar. My mind is all screwed up today. I'm having allergy problems, and I'm having a little bit of trouble breathing from the allergies, and please forgive me, I'm a little breathless, and my eyes are itchy, and so I'm not thinking very clearly. But anyway, we had a prosperity altar set up in the office, and I do have a video. You'd have to look at it. I don't know how many years ago it was, but it was a little different configuration. It took up really pretty much a wall of the office. Included a table, a surface, and also a wall and some surrounding areas, because it was very important to keep it. But it had to do mostly with cash flow in and out of the business and the home. This altar we have redone has more to do with it. It also involves cash, but it has more to do with the abundance, to making sure the abundance, the riches in our life, that we have what we need in our life, that we grow from what we have planted, and from being, the people that have worked for how many years and are now retired, that we're able to take care of ourselves, that we have what we need, that we have what we need from our garden, that we have what we need to take care of our pets and our children, and to help our children out as best we can, and those kind of things, So we have a lot of more uses than just trying to come up with some money. So I thought it might be interesting for you. If not, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you another time. But if you're interested in what kind of things that we put on our abundance altar, I'm just going to take a quick run through. I'm not going to give you a big definition of everything, and you might see some things going, oh, I wonder what's in that, but I wonder what's in that, I wonder what's in that. I will share those in the future, and you remind me if you don't see a video coming up. I'm going to be doing a video, I know, coming up on a few of those subjects. So, but I just wanted to really quick show you, because I'm really happy that we have this, and I think this is a really good time. You might, since we're all sort of in the same boat, most of us are still stuck at home, that this is a really good time to maybe set up a little space of your own. It doesn't have to be a big table, it doesn't have to be a big wall. a little nook, one little, you know, I think I showed you in my own, go back and check my old video. I'll try to remember, and I'll post a link to it down below if I can remember to go get the link for it. But I had just a partial part of a tablecloth for a long time that I was a table, just a table, you know, half of a little chest service that I used for. That was my first prosperity altar. And then we changed and made it a little bit bigger. But I just started out with a little tiny thing. It does not take, you don't need a lot of room. You don't need to have a lot of room to do a lot of really cool magic. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around and try to do a little camera work so you can see the altar close up. But I want to warn you that it's in a corner, so it's a little tough for me to get the camera in. So anyway, stay tuned. So here's my new little altar, and for those of you who remember the video that I did in the office several years ago when we first started to use the prosperity altar, it will look a little different to you because now it is just 3 little shelves. Before it was pretty much a wall. It was a cupboard with a covered surface, and then it had a shelf above it, and it really incorporated, you know, some surrounding items, because it was used in an office where we were really concerned about the success of our business, you know, the cash flow coming in and out of that room, out of the office through the business. And it was mainly concerned about money. Well, we're not in the business anymore, you know that, and now we have completely different needs. Of course, we still have a lot of things in the altar that make sure that we do have a cash flow, that we are able to provide ourselves with the things that we have to have, that we have enough money to buy food and to pay our bills and to provide for our health and things like that. But also we want to make sure we have enough that we can share with others. But it's not just money, it's all kinds of things. We have things on this altar that have to do with the prosperity and health of our pets, and also our garden is very big in here, represented on this altar. So it's a little different. It encompasses all areas of our lives, which might be a little more interesting to those of you who are considering joining some kind of an altar like this, but maybe weren't business owners. It's very common to have a monetary altar or a money altar or a prosperity altar, but we're calling this an abundance altar because it is abundance. It is about having, being fed from what we have planted, right? We have worked our lives, as people that are retired now, we've worked our lives to now be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor. And we are still planting seeds in the garden, which we will be living off of. And, of course, caring for those around us. So, it's just a little bit. I thought you might be interested in this. So, just wanted to give you a quick little tour. What I have on here. This is, remember, this is specific to us. I don't want to infer that I think you should go out and make yourself an altar exactly like this. I don't think so. But I just want you to maybe consider, give you some ideas of something you might want to do specifically for yourself. Okay, so we have on the stopping on the top shelf is just a little, it's hard to see, there's a little bit of a glare coming off of it, but it's just a little tin in the shape of a dog bone, and it has pictures of dogs on it, and it has a dog figurine beside it, a golden retriever, which you know we have. That's what we have in our home. And the golden retriever is wearing dog tags of a dog that I used to have, now deceased, who was very much a very loyal companion. They always are, but this was a caregiver. This dog took extra care of us, took extra care of our other pets, raised Louis, my older one now, he's my older dog, raised him very graciously, was just warm and loving to everyone who knew him, and never ever complained. So he's a really good dog to preside over this altar, to remind us that you will receive what you give. You should receive back. The middle shelf is mainly to do with money, at least at first glance, because it does contain some things on it that really have to do with money. Beginning with, I'm going to try to zoom in on here and see if you can see that a little better. I have on this shelf bank dirt, a jar of bank dirt, which I use bank dirt for a few things, but it represents, you know, growing, growth and prosperity, of course. I also like to consider it something like take it to the bank, the expression take it to the bank. Something that's a done deal, something that's really sure, a sure thing. So I will use this in other things when I'm doing particular spells or maybe in oils or in other salts or things like that. Just like I used, some of you saw me use graveyard dirt in the video I did on witch's salt. This is used, I use that in similar ways, I have a feed, the little wallet there is a burlap wallet. There's an organization called Feed, a worldwide organization. Several years ago I made some donations to them. You would, depending on how much you donated to feed, it would feed so many meals to people around the world. And I use that to remind myself of charity, of always giving, but also I keep some money in there. If you want to rob me, there's not a lot in there, you don't have to come and rob me, but just enough. I like to think of not needing a lot, just needing what I need, just having what I need. That's sort of the way I like to think about things. So I use a little wallet. I even carry a little wallet that's same size in my purse when I carry cash. Just a little bit of money, just what I need, nothing excessive. I have a tin beside there. You might recognize that. That's a old-fashioned cigarette tin. People used to have a box for their cigarettes when they carried them around, keep them from, or maybe in their house. It's a Lucky Strike brand tin. Lucky Strike was a cigarette. I never smoked it, but it was a cigarette. But I have smoked, and as a matter of fact, there are some cigarettes in this tin from when I did smoke. Oh, I don't know, 25 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was that I did smoke, and I have always allowed myself permission by keeping a cigarette in the house. If I ever wanted to smoke one, I could. That's how I quit. Well, of course, I would never smoke those. If I light one, it would go up in it would go up in flames. But the message from the cigarettes on this altar is that tobacco is a very magical herb. It's a very powerful herb. It's used for a lot of things. Things from maybe banishing as you know, the banishing herb, but also it's very good to add power to any kind of intention you might have. It can also be used in excessive ways to absolutely dominate a situation, which at first, when I first mentioned that, it sounds a little negative, and it can be negative, but also dominating something can only mean, it doesn't have to be a negative trait. Dominating some situation is taking control of a situation that might be trying to control you, and that's not a good thing. And this is a real appropriate thought to contemplate here at this time when we feel so out of, we don't have any power. We have no, like, you know, we feel powerless actually, especially when we're at home and we're kept out of our work and kept away from our loved ones and our work, and you know, really not able to go out and not have some of those freedoms. But we can remind ourselves that we try to make the most of it. We can dominate. We can learn from it. We can make the most of our situation. We can use this time to do so many things that we're not able to do when we are isolated like we are now. Okay, so that, anyway, I keep that on this altar. I also have the bowl in the front is an offering bowl, and then it's an offering bowl, but not as an offering so much as a feeding bowl. Let's call it a feeding bowl. Where I neglected to say, the little tin, the dog tin on the top shelf, it's really meant more as an offering. I keep gifts in there, treasures I get when I'm given a gift, even a small gift, it might go in there for a while, or I might put something in there to charge it to try to transform something that's not so valuable into something of value, which we can go into that in another video. But anyway, this little bowl here has money in a money clip and an old family money clip, and I think it's $1 or $5. I'm not sure what it is at this time. But from time to time, that money is replaced. It's taken out. We use that, replace it with new. It's always being renewed. It's always being fed. It's a way of feeding the altar. In the back, I have a jar of oil, which is it's a sort of an all-purpose money oil. It's actually a moon oil, full moon oil, where it has been charged under the full moon. And it is just, you know, to use it, sort of an all-purpose oil, to make sure that it can be used in spells, it can be used on items, it can be used, you know, on anything, to make sure we have what we need. You can use sort of maybe your imagination with what we might use for, but like for instance, if we had a jar where we keep our household account money, I would use oil on that jar to make sure that we always have enough to provide for the household. At the same time, I could use it on something like my table where I do my readings, to make sure that I'm given the wisdom, that always have the wisdom to be able to read the cards correctly and to give the right information on to the clients or my clients that come to me. So it can be used for a lot of different kinds of things. I have a feather from one of my hens, making sure that my chickens receive all they need from me, and reminder that they give me back so much more than I can ever give them. And then of course I have a jar of it's burned money, and we'll talk about that another time if anybody's interested in a video. I'll be happy to talk a little bit more about that. But I didn't want to spend too much time on that. Okay, and finally the bottom shelf. The little bottom shelf of this. Of course, the first thing I want to call attention to is the little picture there of the moon gazing hare. I just copied this off of the internet. It is free, copyright free, clip art, print only, that I got. I'm not infringing on any copyright. It was available for free download, and I just have laminated that. It's a very simple print, but it's a good focal point for the altar. And we dedicated this altar during the hare moon, which was this past week, because the hare is very symbolic of fertility, prosperity, abundance, transformation, changing, using something that has died into something that is new. Bring that whole idea of what happens in this time of the year, when all that has died, all the seeds, the flowers and plants that have died produce their seeds, which are planted, and now we are enjoying the abundance of that. And the hare is very symbolic of that. Okay. I have a family figurine there, a little statue, Infant of Prague figurine, which he sits on a 1889 silver dollar that we've had in the family. My husband's had in his family. And that's an Irish tradition to ensure the family is never hungry or in want of anything, just keeping that on the coin there. There's a pair of bogie stones to the left of that figurine, which is a male and female. They're always in pairs, male and female, to keep in balance. And they usually reside on our main altar in here, but for now they're going to reside on this altar of abundance, because we want to keep the balance between, make sure that we're giving what we wish to receive. I believe the little figurine right beside there is one of those, what are they called? Food dogs, Chinese food dogs. It's a little carving. It might be something like, maybe it's yellow jade, I'm not sure. It was given to me as a gift. It's like a little pendant. It's meant to be strung, like a bead. And I think it was a pair, and I think my husband was given one too, and he's gone off and walking. We're not sure where he is, but usually you see them as a pair. And I do recall that we did have a pair. but I don't know what happened to the other. But in the meantime, he's sitting guard on the altar. I have a little wish bottle beside, which contains, of course, dandelion seeds, dandelion puff. I'm always keeping those, and this one is special to me. It was a gift, and it's a good reminder that it's not bad to want. It's not bad to wish. Never be afraid to wish. Never be afraid to want, because if you don't want, you're not going to manifest what you need if you don't have wants. Okay. There's a little bayberry candle. I do not usually burn scented candles, but in this case, I had the candle. And bayberry, we think of the holidays at bayberry, Christmas and New Year's, but the reason we use a bayberry candles and scent at that time of the year is because it is a scent which will bring, is thought to bring the blessings of abundance to the home, and stability, which, of course, again, the intent of the altar. I have behind it, you can hardly see, but there is, in that little jar with the cork on top, are seeds that are from for the garden, and cat whiskers in the tall bottle on the back, which I use cat whiskers for quite a few things. Cat whiskers are, I think I'm going to do a whole video on cat whiskers and cat claw and things like that I use magically. I think that'll be better if I do that. But I just want to tell you that it's a really good, it's very appropriate to use on this altar. And and the two little cans in front that are cut down cans, there's one in the front, one right behind it, you can't see very well, are just an assortment of oils. I have all kinds of oils in there. And that will be, again, another subject for another video. I just wanted to do this quick, and I didn't want to take too long. I just wanted to give you an idea of what I had. Okay, thank you. Thanks for watching, those of you who have stayed. And I'd love to know, I'd love to have you share any altars you might have. Do you have an abundance altar or a prosperity altar in your own home? Or not? What kind of things, if you do, I'd like to know what kind of things that you include in yours. You know, remember, I've always said what's magical for one person is not necessarily magical for somebody else. I don't expect you all to go out and get a figurine of a golden retriever and put some dog tags on it. That's not gonna, it's not probably gonna work for you. Okay? Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and welcome back to my parlor. As always, I'm Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.